I've really been thinking since episode one aired, and we essentially see that Bruce's blood gets into Jennifer's system and ends up turning her into She-Hulk. Like, I'm thinking back to the Hulk's run. And for those of you who don't know, the Hulks is a comic book series that deals with all of the different variations of the Incredible Hulk. So you have the Incredible Hulk, you have Amadeus Cho's Totally Awesome Hulk, you have She-Hulk, you have Red Hulk, you have Red She-Hulk, you have Abomination, you have what's his name? Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's been a friend of the Hulk for like a really long time. He has long hair. He turns into like that blue Hulk that doesn't really have extra strength. He's just all durability. And at a certain point in the series, someone uses the energy that Bruce basically released when he was World War Hulk. Tony used the satellite to sap all of Banner's gamma energy away from him to revert him back into a human. And during the run, they used that energy and they Hulkified everyone. And so there was like a Hulk Cap, a Hulk Wolverine, a Hulk Thor, like a Hulk Black Widow. Everyone basically turned into a version of the Hulk. And then in order to essentially alleviate the issue, they had to retake away all that energy from all the heroes. Now, in the comics, for Jen, it's a blood transfusion. And it's a long-term blood transfusion to essentially save her life that ends up turning her into um She-Hulk. I don't exactly remember what it was that turns Red Hulk and Red She-Hulk into what they were. Like, I think it was some type of other experiment that Thunderbolt Ross was doing like off on the side, but I don't think it had anything to do with like taking blood from Bruce Banner. Here's the thing. The first Hulk movie, the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton, right? In that movie, we see the guy who's going to end up becoming the leader. He's essentially experimenting on the Hulk's blood. And he has like multiple different concentrations in it. And he's explaining to Bruce when Bruce shows up that, he wasn't sending him enough samples. So he had to do what he could with the blood that he was receiving. And he was experimenting on it. And he had like experimented rats and like other little creatures in the lab that he was using the blood on. And when he goes to turn Blonsky into the Abomination, he injects him with not only the same serum that he injected the Hulk with to calm him down, but also Banner's blood in order to turn him into the Abomination. Then when he gets swatted away and he hits the wall, we see the blood drip on top of his head, and then his brain starts to swell, and that's what's going to end up turning him into the leader. So the notion that Bruce's blood getting into your system can have side effects was in the first Hulk movie, and the MCU really never readdressed that, or they never really circled back to it in any way, shape, or form, because we've seen the Hulk battered and bruised and bleeding on multiple occasions through the MCU. He gets bitten by Fenrir. If that's the case, when Fenrir bit him, Fenrir should have essentially turned into a Hulk version of the damn wolf. He gets the shit beaten out of him by Thanos. When he arrives on Earth, he's got blood all over him and he's jacked up. But no one's ever Hulkified. And it could be the fact that they completely forgot that this was a thing until they went to make this series and they were like, oh, holy shit, this is actually a thing. But here's the thing. Blonsky was using a variation of Captain America's super soldier serum. By transitive properties, if Bruce was to inject Cap with his blood, Cap should essentially turn into another version of the Hulk. And the reason why I say that is that Thunderbolt Ross says something that's always stuck with me it's his best line in the Incredible Hulk movie, which is, across the hall they tried to arm you better, in regards to talking about Tony Stark or Stark Industries. Over here we tried to make you better, in response to essentially doing the super soldier experiment. And for Bruce and the Incredible Hulk are a variation of, we could say, Weapons X, or Weapons Plus. Yeah, Weapons Plus, where Captain America was a part of Weapons Plus. I don't remember what step he was in Weapons Plus off the top of my head. The Hulk is essentially an adjacent Weapons Plus off of Captain America, because essentially what they did was they injected themselves with super soldier serum instead of bombarding themselves with beta rays, whatever the hell kind of ray. It's that the energy rays that Bruce's body was bombarded with when he was inside the capsule. They instead decided to go with gamma radiation, and gamma radiation caused mutations, which led to the Hulk essentially being created and existing the way in which he does. So does that mean that if, like I said before, if the Hulk's blood got into Cap, would Cap turn into another version of Hulk? If he got into Bucky, would Bucky turn into another version of Hulk, or any of the other Winter Soldiers, or anyone who's ever had a super soldier serum inside of their body? If Bruce's blood got into them, would they essentially also turn into a Hulk? If that is the case, multiple different wars and battles that have been fought recently would have been so much easier if we had an army of Hulks, where like we could just Hulkify Captain America, Winter Soldier, fucking T'Challa, like all these different people who have super soldier like abilities. If they were to get Banner's blood inside their bodies, would they turn into a Hulk? And if you're just a regular person and you got Banner's blood inside of your body, now we know that for Jen, at least in the MCU, she has a rare, she and Bruce share a rare genetic, they don't really call it condition. It's like they share a rare genetic sequence, which makes them like really, really similar to each other. I think they also share the same blood type. This is what allows her, when the blood basically lands on her cut, to instantly turn into a Hulk, because essentially genetically she's identical to Bruce. Now of course she didn't get bombarded by gamma radiation, so her strength levels is on like a lower tier, but at the exact same time she is way stronger and way faster. Jennifer Walters is essentially what Thunderbolt Ross wanted to create in regards to the Hulk version of the Super Soldier program. Of course he never got to do that because Banner wrecked everything and ran away, but she is the perfect soldier. Drop her into combat, transforms into her giant form, hard as shit to kill. Once the combat is over, revert back to your normal form, good to go. It's funny that Bruce accidentally created what Thunderbolt Ross wanted so long ago. So it's very interesting to like sit down and look at the MCU and wonder whether or not, you know, can anyone be a Hulk? Are there now stipulations required for a person to be a Hulk? Or is this entire situation just something that they are only going to introduce on She-Hulk, sweep it under the rug, and we're never going to see it again? I have a theory that we're definitely going to be getting more Hulks in the future. Like, not only Bruce Banner Hulk, of course, and She-Hulk, but we may also be getting Red Hulk and Red She-Hulk and Amadeus Cho's Totally Awesome Hulk. And that's going to be super interesting to see. And I can't really wait for it, because my favorite version of the Hulk is Amadeus Cho, because I like that he's the smartest guy in the room, that he's basically Deadpool, well, at least with the shit talking. Or no, he's basically Spider-Man in regards to the shit talking. But he's just the Hulk, and he just really doesn't give a damn. And I like the fact that he's palled around with the Hulk long enough that when he turned into a Hulk, you're just like, yeah, you're like the natural choice to basically take up the Hulk mantle for now, because I think at that point in time Banner was dead. But we'll see what direction like the MCU decides to take this with. I'm really hoping that this is just opening up the door to say that, yeah, down the line we can definitely have more people turn into Hulks because of this. But also down the line, a lot of the Hulk villains that we weren't ever able to introduce, a lot of the old school Hulk villains, I'm talking about the ones before World War Hulk that we were never able to introduce, we can now introduce them because we have like this very easy plot device, which is use Banner's blood on yourself to turn into a monster, and like he'll have to come and put you down because he'll feel as though it's his responsibility. But we'll see. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.